What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/ProRevenge. This story's called Get Me Fired? Say goodbye to your bonus and promotion. This happened a good long while ago. I was in high school and got a job at one of the big box stores in the computer department. This store chain had an in-house technician department, which was always where I wanted to go. After busting my ass in sales for 2 years, putting up with rude customers, silly rules, and all the other glorious trappings of a retail job, I finally got a chance to be promoted to the technician department. It was not as glamorous as I thought it would be. I quickly found out that most of the repairs consisted of running the pre-packaged antivirus suite, updating Windows, and doing backups prior to wiping computers clean and reinstalling them. I always liked tinkering with hardware more, but since 80% of customers had laptops and those repairs were deemed too complicated by corporate, we would just send the laptops out to get repaired by the third-party vendor. It was still better than sales by a long shot, and we had a great team working in the technician area, except for one dude. Let's call him Mike. He always behaved like his crap smelled like roses. He was technically a lead technician, and even though that just meant he had a little more authority, he had access to a corporate account and arranged shipments of computers to and from our store, he was acting like he was the manager of the department. Nevertheless, our actual manager was a splendid dude that took care of us, and as such, Mike's douchery did not bother any of us that much. Fast forward a little, and our awesome manager found a much better job. This opened up a spot for a manager, and since the whole store supervision was going through a shakeup, the general manager was fired for embezzlement, and all the people he hired, 90% of the managers, were under review. This led to everybody trying their hardest not to mess up, and the new GM decided that since our department was one of the best in the district, he would not try to hire an outsider, but will promote from within. Now, Mike was working at this store for almost 10 years at that point, and a couple of people that started working with him as sales associates were, by this point, managers and assistant managers. One of them, Brittany, was an assistant manager in charge of customer services and checkout. One of the conditions for Mike's official promotion to manager was to keep the #1 spot in the district performance-wise. One of the key metrics was the rejection rate from our third-party vendor. If we mistakenly sent them a software problem to fix, they would charge us extra. Mike started obsessing about the numbers, especially when it came to the rejection rate. He insisted that we would spend extra time to confirm issues, even when there were recalls from manufacturers for these items. I hated this bureaucracy since it meant that people needed to wait almost the maximum allowed time to get their computers back. So a few times I skipped the extra diagnostics when I knew for sure the problem was hardware. One day, Mike decided to do an audit on all outgoing machines and found out that I've sent 4 units skipping his extra checks. He told me that he will write me up for it, but when he tried, general manager told him that he's not a manager yet, and I have shown to the GM that I followed the corporate procedure in diagnosing these units. I thought that was the end of this, but I was sorely mistaken. Mike hated that I showed to general manager that Mike's procedure was inefficient, and that he was denied power over me. About a month later, I got a call from Mike asking if I could come to the store on my day off because there was an issue with a customer. When I came in, I was greeted with Mike with a crap-eating grin, and he told me to wait in the back and not to work on any computers. After about an hour, Mike and Brittany come in and ask me to head to the front office. They started an official write-up process and claimed that I have made a mistake creating a backup of customers' data and have placed a DVD with no data on it into the box that was returned to the customer and then wiped his PC clean. I knew that this was BS since I always copy the data to an external hard drive, run antivirus to make sure that nothing bad got copied, and then burn DVDs. Yet, when I asked to check the external hard drive, Mike said that due to my negligence, I was not allowed back into the tech area. He went to check the hard drive and said there was nothing on it. At that point, I knew he was bullcrapping, but him and Brittany were hell-bent on completing the write-up. I have asked for senior management to be present and was shot down again. Turns out that general manager was on vacation. They completed the write-up and told me that due to the egregious error that cost the company tens of thousands of dollars, I was not allowed to work in the tech room and I would be relegated back to the sales floor. I told them to shove it and submitted my resignation on the spot. I later found out that a week later, they gave the customer the data that was on the hard drive all this time. Mike simply erased the DVDs. I grabbed a DVD RW by mistake for that backup and waited for the customer to come back and complain. I have also called the corporate HR line and told them what happened. They said that since I quit with a letter of resignation, they would not launch an investigation, but they have received and recorded my complaint. Through luck and the fact that I was a good hardware tech, I landed a job at a shop that did hardware repairs a week later and started in another week. Turns out, this depot was the service center that covered the entire district, and they had the master contract with a big box chain where I worked. Since I have worked as the tech in that store, I was more than familiar with their labeling and ticketing system. For tracking purposes, the label included the store and technician number. After a couple of weeks, I gathered some goodwill at my new job and started trading the units with my colleagues to work on as many units for my old store as possible. Over the next 3 months, I made sure that every single unit sent in by Mike would come back with an extra charge. Also, it turned out that Mike, since he was in charge of shipping, would sometimes steal other technicians' tickets to boost his personal performance numbers to secure that manager promotion. Well, that bit him in the ass hard. There was one week in particular when he sent in over 15 units out of 20 to get fixed, and 15 units came back with extra software charge. I have also kept detailed records that proved that Mike did not follow his own policy of extra checks. When the performance figures came out for that quarter, store crashed into 5th place from number 1. Mike missed out on his promotion and a big bonus that was promised to him. A good buddy of mine from the store got the manager position a few months after that, and I have explained to him how to reduce the number of software charges to almost 0. So he looked like a superstar. Mike was first relocated to lead technician. Then he was either let go or he quit. I'm not sure. Last I heard, he started his own mobile technician business that folded after a year. What I didn't know is that this whole incident with Mike screwing up led the GM to review everything Mike did, including my write-up and dismissal. As it turns out, they did not even register the write-up since I quit on the spot and buried it. The only way GM was able to find it is because of the HR complaint that was filed against both Mike and Brittany. GM was not pleased that they went behind his back to get rid of someone and fired Brittany. He was a very decent man who called me later that day and apologized, and even offered me my old job back. I thanked him, but I was making more money at the new place and I did not have to deal with customers, so I passed. Well, there's not much I can say other than that was some revenge of professional quality, so it fits in the subreddit, and it was a pretty good story. Good job on this guy for, finding a job that he actually enjoyed all aspects of. This story is called Co-Parent Threatened Me with Child Protection Report. Following the success of my malicious compliance story, you want half? Okay. I got another story relating to my co-parent, Karen. Here's the cast. Me, Karen, co-parent, kid. This story takes place a few years after our breakup and settlement of our house. We have had 2 years of 50-50 custody of our daughter. 1 week on, 1 week off. Handover is Monday after school, which is good as I avoid seeing Karen most weeks. On one of my weeks, kid comes down with a stomach flu on Thursday, both ends like a volcano. This carried through to Saturday. Sunday, she was tired but no symptoms. I kept her home on Monday to ensure she is 48 hours symptoms free before sending her to school. I dropped kid off at Karen's, informing her that she has had a stomach flu. She should be fine for school tomorrow. Without asking any additional questions, she utters a sound I've only heard camels make before closing the door. Rude! But anyway, 3 days go by. I get a call from Karen. Kid is lactose intolerant. You need to get special milk. Huh? Where's this coming from?
She had ice cream last night and threw up 45 minutes later. I spoke to my hair and beauty teacher who said she must be lactose intolerant.
Now, it's time to mention my girlfriend at the time, wife now, is a qualified and practicing dietitian and is listening to this call as I put it on speaker.
I really don't think so. Lactose intolerance mainly affects the bowels. Kid had gastro last week. The body will often reject dairy foods for 1 to 2 weeks post-gastro. If symptoms continue after 3 weeks, then it's something to look into.
She went on to explain the body science behind this, but I'll spare you the details. My wife said that she cannot make a formal diagnosis, as that requires specific, costly tests, but she can refer and treat such conditions. She said it's her professional opinion, as these symptoms are sudden and presented around the same time as gastro. It's gastro-related dairy avoidance.
You're not a doctor. Kid is lactose intolerant, and if you don't comply with the treatment, I'll report you to child protection.
I thought for a second. Okay, I'll make you a deal. You get the formal diagnosis, and I'll fund the full cost of the test. If it comes back negative, I'm not paying a cent. Hearing this, my wife smiled.
So I pay for the test, and when I get the diagnosis, you'll pay me back the full amount.
Yup, including flights and accommodation. Karen agreed to this deal. I text her this for written evidence. She replied with,
okay.
A few weeks go by. Kid tells me,
Mommy is taking me to Melbourne for tests. I get to go on a plane, yay!
It's a good time to note, that week, Kid was having milk with her breakfast and, surprise, surprise, no problems. Another 4 weeks go by. Karen calls me.
So the test results came back negative? The specialist said it was probably as gastro-related issues. Nothing that we could have seen coming, but at least now we know. Anyway, the flights cost me $600, accommodation was $150, test was $750, so you owe me my half, which is $900.
Firstly, my wife, who treats conditions like this, said it was gastro-related. You refused to listen, stating that we are not doctors, but apparently your hair and beauty teacher is a qualified doctor, eh? Secondly, $600, $150, $750 equals $1,500, half of which is $750, not $900, which brings me to my main point. We agreed that if the test was negative, I wasn't going to pay a cent. You agreed. I hung up, sent her a screenshot of our agreement, including her okay response.
Ha, Karen thought she was slick.
Well, she's not. This story's called Today I Fudged Up by Doing Hot Ones. Obligatory, this happened last weekend. So, my lovely friend is a big fan of Hot Ones, and even a bigger fan of hot sauce. For those of you who don't know, Hot Ones is a show where celebrities eat 10 increasingly hot wings while answering questions. Now, lovely friend's lovely girlfriend gifted him each of the 10 hot sauces that are featured on the show. So, last weekend, we decided to create our very own version. So, with 10 pounds of wings, hot sauce, and 3 bags of milk, Canada, we embarked on this journey. Now, I'm no stranger to hot sauce, but I'd rather taste my food rather than taste nothing but Lucifer's pussy. But I'm a chill gal and I like to try new things. Surprisingly, I made it to hot sauce number 7 with no problems. So, cue hot sauce number 8. I was warned that this one would be quite more sparkly, so I did the reasonable thing and took only a tiny nibble. Despite that, my whole mouth felt like a fiery inferno. Everyone was panting as if they were trying to expel a demon. I was chugging milk as if I were a newborn hungry cow. 20 minutes later, my mouth felt more like the prickly sensation, like physical static television. But at this point, I had chugged over 3 solo cups full of milk. I had poured some from the bag directly into my mouth as well. I haven't had a full glass of milk in basically a decade. So my late life-induced lactose semi-intolerance started to trickle in, and I could feel myself needing to, go to the bathroom? No big deal, everyone's feeling the same, no problem. So I go to relieve myself. Well, it turns out I should have thoroughly washed my hands before because the tips of my fingers must have brushed my hoo-ha, and suddenly it felt like I was receiving cunnilingus from a hot wing disguised as the devil. It has been 4 days, and I'm thinking I'm going to need to see a doctor now. So, ladies, Please, don't be like me and don't let your fingers near your vajayjay after eating hot wings. And also, don't do the hot ones challenge because you'll end up drinking a liter of milk and having to repeatedly go to another room to avoid blinding your new girlfriend with farts that smell like a small animal died and decayed in your anus. Edit. Okay, everyone seems to be really concerned about the bagged milk. I don't know what to tell you except it's just the cheapest way to get the most milk, and we wanted to be prepared. There were 6 of us. At my home, I just use a carton because I only use it for tea, so I can't go through 4 liters quickly enough. Here's a video depicting how it works. Let me describe it to you. So, there's the bag of milk and there's a pitcher, okay? This weird pitcher thing. You put the bag of milk in the pitcher and you cut the corner off the milk bag and it creates a very easy pour spout, surprisingly. And you just pour it like that, using the pitcher as, a delivery vessel. And the containers are available basically anywhere that sells bagged milk, as well as the dollar store. Can't believe my most popular Reddit post is about my spicy lady area. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, at first I thought bagged milk was the most stupid thing I've ever seen, but honestly, now that I've seen how it works, we should get this in America because, you know what? Think of how much freaking space the big gallon jugs of milk take up. And I'm not just talking about your fridge when you're trying to throw them away. I mean, I guess you can collapse them up, but who wants to do that, And, that just sounds really unfortunate and painful, I'm assuming. But yes, if you are a weakling, this has never happened to me before. I've, eaten spicy food, I've cut up chilies, and I've never had, problems of that nature. I don't know, it's probably because I'm a superior human being. Get on my level. I recommend using a dish soap for washing your hands after handling spicy stuff, because the spicy stuff is called capsaicin, and capsaicin is an oil, and in case you don't know, water doesn't do a good enough job of washing away oil because oil is hydrophobic, so that's why when you try to drink water, the water can't pick up the oil. It can't, it can't take away the capsaicin from your mouth, and the same goes with your hands. And soap is a micelle, so what that means is, on the molecular level, one end is hydrophobic, the other is hydrophilic, one end polar, one end nonpolar. And because of this molecular anatomy, it allows the water to mix with the oil, and, it can all wash away, and you're clean of your fiery fingertips of doom. Little chemistry lesson for you. If I got something wrong, you can correct me in the comments or something, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I learned this in high school. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.